Hi friends, I'm Miss Deanna and I'm here at the Bell Road branch of the Newburgh-Chandler Public Library. And it's time to imagine a story. Imagine a story. What will you be? Where will you go? What will you see? Today's story, like all good stories, begins with once upon a time. There was a little mouse. And the little mouse was wandering very carefree through the tall grasses of the savannah, when without paying attention, he accidentally climbed up onto the nose of a sleeping lion. Ah! Now help me with this part. You know what happened with the lion. He woke up and he made a mighty roar. Roar! Can you roar with me? Roar! The poor little mouse was scared. The lion said, "Who disturbs my sleep?" And the little mouse squeaked, "Squeak, squeak, squeak, squeak. Oh, please, Mr. Lion, if you spare my life and let me go, I promise I will return the favor someday." Well, now the lion didn't roar. Now the lion laughed. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Can you make a big lion laugh? Oh, ho, 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 ho. Because how could a little mouse possibly help a great big lion? But the lion had already had that lunch that day, a big lunch, which was why he was napping. And so he thought because the mouse made him laugh, he would let the mouse go. He never expected to see the mouse again. And so off the mouse went. Well, it wasn't much longer after that, and the lion was walking through the forest. And the lion accidentally tripped a wire, which dropped a net. And the lion was caught. And the more the mighty lion struggled, and the more the mighty lion roared, roar, till all the trees were shaking. The tighter the net got, the lion was trapped. Well, the little mouse heard the roar. He knew what it was. He knew it was his friend the lion. So off he went. And he found the lion trapped in the net. The lion was scared. The lion was frantic. But the little mouse very carefully started nibbling away at the string or the rope that was holding the lion in his net, until pretty soon the lion was free. The little mouse had returned the favor. The little mouse had helped the lion. The lion was surprised but happy, and now he had a new friend in the little mouse. This is a fable, and all fables come with a lesson. Now, the original lesson with this fable was a friend in need is a friend indeed. But I've always thought that was kind of hard to understand. So other places have interpreted or had a new lesson from this story. And one of them is, friends come in all shapes and sizes. Well, that's true. But the one I think I like the best is, no act of kindness, no matter how small, is unimportant. In other words, any act of kindness, no matter how small, is very important. And the lion found that out, didn't he? Now, the other thing I wanted to share with you today, friends, is when you think of machines to get work done, we think of machines as being big things, like our friend the lion. But machines can also be simple machines, small things, like our friend the mouse. But simple machines help us get big work done. Can I show you some simple machines? Well, first of all, we have the wheel and the axle. You've seen this lots of times. It's on the bottom of your skateboards and in your bikes and your tricycles and your wagons. And just think how much easier that makes to move something heavy if it has wheels. underneath it. Another simple machine is the screw. And the screw helps us attach things and holds it very tight. And this is the screw you're probably familiar with. But did you know that a jar lid is also a screw? It works the same way, and it holds things tight. Another simple machine is the pulley. Now this is a very old pulley. This pulley came out of an old house that I used to live in, and that house had an elevator. It wasn't big enough for people. It was just a little elevator, and it was used to put things in on the basement level and carry things up to the second floor using a wheel and pulley. You attach things to this side and you pull with this side, and it cuts the work in half and makes this much easier to lift. If you've ever been in an elevator, it might have had a pulley. And if you've ever seen a construction site with those big cranes that lift things, those are wheels and pulleys too. All right, well, I also have a lever. A lever is a lot like a seesaw. I know, boys and girls, that a lot of playgrounds don't have seesaws anymore. But I remember when I was little, if I got on one side of the seesaw and my friend got on the other side of the seesaw, I could very easily lift my friend, even if my friend was a little bit bigger than me. It's just like the pulley. It cuts the work in half and makes something easier to lift. But a lever doesn't have to be like this. A lever can also be like this. Imagine you have to open this paint can. And you have to do it with your hands. Do you think you could do it? It would be very hard. You'd probably break your fingernails. But if you use a screwdriver, which is also a lever, you can use that to pop open the can. Are you getting the idea? The last thing I want to show you, well, excuse me, the second to last thing I want to show you is a wedge. A wedge is wide at one end and pointy at the other. Now imagine you have something that you have to cut or break into two pieces, like this Play-Doh. I could tear it apart, or I could try and mash it with my flat hand, but that doesn't work very well. I need a wedge. I need something that's sharp and spreads apart, and it divides my Play-Doh neatly in half. You use a wedge when you use a knife. You use a wedge, well, it's kind of like a wedge combined with a lever whenever you use scissors. All right, one more. The last thing I have is something pretty simple. It doesn't have any moving parts, and it's called an incline plane or a ramp. Now, if I set this this jar down here, and I say, Mr. Mouse, would you please lift that jar? Do you think the mouse could lift that jar? Probably not. But he might be able to push that jar, and that's where we use an incline plane or a ramp. Think of all the places you've seen ramps, and they make things easier to get up instead of going upstairs. The other thing about a ramp is the longer it is and the shallower it is, the easier it is to use. Kind of like walking up a small hill versus a very steep hill. What you're trying to do is you're trying to spread out out the work to make it easier. All right, friends, I have some books to show you. This one is called Curious Pearl Science Girl, and it's a great book because Curious Pearl uses all the simple machines that I'm talking about. She starts by using them just to clean up her room, but then she uses them to do fun things like make a playground for her cat. I also have one of my favorite authors, Jerry Pinkney, and Jerry Pinkney wrote The Mouse and the Lion, or a version of The Mouse and the Lion. And what I love about his books is they have fantastic pictures and no words. So now that you know the story of The Mouse and the Lion, you could take this book and you could use your imagination to retell the story to a friend. The other books and Curious Pearl and this book will all be mentioned in the description, along with a link to a website for young engineers that has lots of great experiments that you can do using levers and pulleys and wheels and axles and incline planes and screws and all the simple machines we've talked about here today. It also has a YouTube video to a song by David Newman, and it talks about simple machines, and it's a great song, and it teaches you all about what they are and what they do. So, until we meet again, we wave goodbye like this, we wave goodbye like this, we clap our hands and stomp our feet, we wave goodbye like this. Bye for now.